Greetings from the cosmic horror. The stars are right once again, and the great old ones allow us to talk about for 30 plus minutes H.P. Lovecraft, the horror writer who's a genre unto himself. I am your cosmic host, Mark Griffin, executive of the Lovecraft estate on Yaga. Joined in from the Material World, David Guffey, a professor at Miss Patonic University, and Richard Wilson, who is suffering from a bad case of mutandis. David and Richard, Cthulhu has been very displeased of us. We've been trying to get on since June 12th for Mike Davis' Lovecraft easing.
True.
And he does not want to be on the show for any reason, but we made to do a sacrifice, but not right now. We're not going to sacrifice you or anything. I should say, Mr. Alex, our guest. We're not going to sacrifice you. We'll do that after the show.
Thank God. Thank the gods.
And we want to thank Alex Turbin for being on today. He's a comic book artist, and I wanted to kick off. About 1993. What were you doing?
1993. I was just starting Mutandis. Do you want to hear like the whole how it got started and everything?
Before that, tell me a little bit about your background. Like what type of you were doing some comics, I guess, like just for yourself. Before that.
Yeah, all growing up. Well, not really all growing up. I feel like I was late into comic book reading. I didn't start reading comics until I was like maybe 13, 14, something like that. And normally you hear people are like, "Oh yeah, I read comics as I was, 9, 8, 9." But I got kind of late into it, and I just as soon as I got that X-Men 199. I dove headfirst into comics, really, and just started making my own comics and just dreaming about being a comic book artist. So I was pretty much drawn to it.
And some of the titles I've seen was like Bloodline Rising.
Yeah.
What was that one about?
That's a Japanese. It's very. I all through high school and junior high and stuff, I was very much into Japanese samurai and stuff like that, and Zen and the whole Japanese culture. And really, it was just basically me trying to do my own Musashi type. I don't know if you've ever heard of Musashi. It's a classic. He was a real person. He was a samurai in Japan. And but they've done several novels and movies and everything about him because he's like a national icon to them. And I just kind of wanted to do my own. I always pick and choose from all of my different inspirations and kind of try to put my own little spin on things. So it was basically that, only I had the idea of a sword going through the generations and kind of just the adventures of the sword. Really.
And I understand you don't have the first issue anymore. It's missing.
No, that was just a pencil thing that I never was going to publish it or anything. I was like, like I said, 13 or 14 or whatever when I did it. So I never really had any intention of publishing it.
And I understand some of your influences were like Frank Miller and Patrick Nagel, how you say it?
Yeah, I think it's Nagel. I'm not sure. It could be Nagel. Oh yeah, yep.
Not a name known to people, but his artwork is probably familiar just about a lot.
Yeah. It's a very classic type of. I don't know what you'd call it. It's like a Art Nouveau kind of thing that people notice and people try to reproduce and do the same style, but often don't succeed.
And then you also did just on your own, a Gilligan's Island strip.
No, that's not mine. That's something that I'm not publishing. I'm printing for some people.
Okay. Did you not draw one then?
No.
Okay, I'm thinking of someone else who was on. Never mind. Okay, and then
Edit that out.
Yeah, edit that one out.
Yeah, we'll just
cut that.
I guess like in 1993, you put an ad in the newspaper.
Yep. We have a local newspaper. I think it's still going on, called the Weekly. And at the back is like a little advertising section. And I just put an ad in saying looking for comic book artists and writers to collaborate on something. And then I started getting calls from people, and and we just ended up going to one of the guys' houses, and together we couldn't come up with anything. There was like maybe 8 or 9 of us, and it was just too big and too unwieldy for all of us to kind of focus in on something. So we kind of just dispersed, and then um, Bill and Dave approached me because they had an idea of something that they were working on, and they wanted me to see if I wanted to work on it. And I was like, sure, sounds good to me, because I just wanted to produce something. And at the time, it was um, I really wanted to publish something and print it, and so that took a good amount of money, at least $1,000 and or more. And so breaking that up into thirds was, the most economical way that we could do it.
And that was Dave Werser, as I say his last
Yep,
name?
Dave Worster and Bill Renfro.
Right.
Bill was the inker and cover artist, and Dave was the writer.
And where were y'all during this time? It was somewhere in Maine, wasn't it?
Yep, Bangor. Yep, we were all living in Bangor. Well, Dave I think, was in Brewer, but that's like right across the river.
So how did the idea for Mutandis come about?
Mutanis was completely Dave's. He and a friend of his in high school, I think, during their high school years, because this was after I was done with high school, a couple years. They had just, thrown around the ideas of a superhero group and something they worked on, and classes and stuff. So they basically came up with Mutandis, and I was just along to pencil it, basically.
And so what was I guess, were they anything like the X-Men? With the name of the Mutandis, you think of mutants.
Yeah. Dave and I were both big X-Men fans, huge X-Men fans, and which I still am. I don't know about him. But yeah, our whole thing was we wanted it to be not a ripoff, because we wanted to do our own thing, but we wanted the whole feel of the X-Men, where it was more personal and less grandiose, and not really connecting with the characters. We wanted it to be character arcs, and characterization more than action scenes.
So what was it like to get to illustrate this comic?
Well, it was great. It was He would come up with a few pages, and we would have meetings, and I would go off and take a few days and do a few pages, and then I would bring it over to Bill, and he would work on it, because he did the lettering as well as the inking and covers, and he would come up with the inks and everything, and then we would get together again and talk about what was going on, and what we wanted to do and how we wanted it to look and everything. And then
not to put you on the spot, but would it be possible for you to maybe screen share a few shots of, if you have access to them there, of a cover or two that you did?
I don't. I have. I would have to go get them.
That's all right. Yeah, I was just wondering if you had anything online on your computer you could just.
Oh, no. I have a few other things, but not of the older Mutanda stuff. I wasn't. Okay. I have them. I just didn't prepare it well enough.
That's fine. We didn't ask ahead of time. So.
Mm-hmm.
And y'all did this for about 3 issues of Mutandis?
We did the first 2 ourselves, and it didn't really sell very well, the first issue, because when you're going through Diamond and distribution like that, you do your first issue, you send it out, and that all takes like 3 months. So that you get the orders, and then you have to print it. So you use your own money to print it, and then you send it out to Diamond, and they send it out to the comic book stores, and then they get their money, then they give you your money. So getting paid can't really pay for the next issue. You have to kind of pay it out of pocket each time until you have, you're rolling consistently enough so that you're getting the money back. You're paying for issue 3 or 4 with issue number 1, hopefully, which that obviously didn't happen with a great many comic books during the time. That's why there's only 1 or 2 of each issue, and that's because you had to pay for each one out of pocket. So the second one, that's why it had a black, white, and red cover, because covers was so much more expensive.
And then y'all branched out into random access.
Yep. Bill and I, we still wanted to work on Mutandis, but we also had our own visions of what we wanted to do. And he had his spaghetti western, which is like that's kind of an H.P. Lovecraft-ish kind of thing. It's like a hotel where you go through a door and it's like different dimensions and stuff. Actually, both he and I are quite influenced by H.P. Lovecraft. And Dave still did a Mutandis, and there were other artists that worked on it as well. And then I did my Mage World for my own personal project.
Okay, and so was it because of the they just weren't selling well that y'all decided to kind of like stop doing it?
The random access, yeah, I think Bill was tired. Well, no, because he went on to do other comics. I think mostly it was the fact that they just weren't selling well, and we didn't have the business acumen to really go for it in a business kind of way, And also, comics were kind of imploding, so it wasn't, during the time people just weren't buying a lot of comic books.
Yeah. Early to mid '90s were a rough time.
Kind of
Right? Yeah, we kind of started during the implosion, like the very beginning. Yeah. We're probably the cause of it. We're probably the reason the comics stopped being sold.
Oh no, you can't take that one. There's too many cardboard prismatic covers out there.
Yeah. Really, nobody talks about it, but I think it's the introduction of Magic the Gathering. That's why comics imploded.
You could be right. That's a good point.
Because that came out and people were just crazy over it. Yeah. I know I was. And, you're either going to spend your money on Magic cards or you're going to spend your money on comic books. And more than half the time, you're going to spend them on Magic cards just because you're addicted to it. It's, flat crack.
I can see that.
that.
Yeah, that was an expensive habit.
Yes. It gets very expensive, and if you have to cut something out, it's going to be comics.
And so, did you think that you were done with Mutandis, and that would be like the last you ever hear of it or anything?
Yeah. It's been almost 30 years since I did the Mutandis #1, and I was kind of I'm not really as proud of the first few issues as I think I should be, or I don't know, but I kind of got out of the Mutandis and was just doing my own stuff for myself, and
So what were you doing during that time period?
I was doing I was still doing comics and all kinds of stuff like that, but it was less like I'm going to go publish this somewhere or whatever. It was more I'm just going to do it for myself, and if someday people enjoy it, then they will. And then I started doing some web comics, and that got like a reception. People would like it and comment on it and stuff like that, but it wasn't really like it wasn't a printed book, which is really what I think every comic artist strives for, is just to do a printed book.
And so sometime after May 26, 2021, someone named Jeff Miller contacted you about Mutandis. Was he a friend of yours? Or just some stranger?
No, just some stranger popped up on my Facebook Messenger and said, do you have anything to do with Mutandis? And I was like, so many things were running through my head. Like, this is somebody that wants to buy the Mutandis name or something like that. But yeah, it was. So then I looked it up. I looked up Mutandis on Google. Every once in a while, I'll Google myself or Mutandis or something I've worked on, and I Googled it, and the Power Comics guys came up, their video. So I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
So for the audience, this will be one of our words for the episode. Explain what a power comic is.
Well, I didn't come up with it, and I think there's a little bit of a different perspective for each person that thinks what a power comic is. I personally think a power comic is something. I don't even think it has to be published in a time period, because I think there could be Power Comics now. I think it's you publish your comic, and I think it has to do with skill level, or polish. It has to kind of meet or be under a certain threshold of polish and whatever.
It usually
So
has like almost like it's definitely not a professional arts, talent and all that, but it's not quite,
right, right,
like childish or anything like that. Somewhere in
right.
between.
Well, it could be childish, but it's definitely was the people that made Power Comics could not draw for Marvel or DC or whatever. That's what that's what we're all about, is we couldn't be accepted by the big companies. So, but you also have to have the determination in doing this, that you're going to get it out there somehow. So it's also a certain amount of determination and grit as to that you're going to publish your stuff one way or another, or you're going to get it seen one way or another.
Right. Now the Power Comics Book Club, which is like done by Evan Husney and Benjamin Mara and Gabe Deichel, when they're reviewing your comic, they kind of like pick these comics, and review them and critique them, and also at the same time make fun of them. And I was wondering, how did you feel about them making fun of certain parts of your comic and everything?
Well, at first I saw the video, or the first like couple minutes of the video, and I couldn't watch it the whole thing. So I was like, I texted him on YouTube. I was like, this was almost my exact words. I said, I'm not going to have to come and burn your house down, am I?
Oh, no.
Because I thought they were, going to make fun of the whole thing. And they replied with something like, yeah, go, come on, come do it, or whatever. But then I watched it, and yes, they do poke fun at Power Comics. They certainly do. But they do it with a certain reverence and enjoyment. They're not making fun of it like, oh, this is stupid, this is dumb, or whatever. They're making fun of it in a way like, one of my favorite movies are the Evil Dead movies, and those are B movies, and not, a lot of it is making fun of it, but I love it regardless. It's a loving making fun of it, which is what I really think they do.
They do have quite a reverence towards Power Comics.
Yeah.
But it does seem like, I was often wondering how the artists felt, their stuff being made fun of, but at the same time being respected as well.
Yeah, almost everybody, almost all of the other Power Comics creators I've talked to are so ecstatic just to be noticed again, just to be, for somebody to be appreciating their art, whether it's being made fun of or not. They don't care, which I don't care. Well, no, I do care a little bit. I'm probably a little bit more of, it's great to be noticed and acknowledged and have fans and stuff. But if they're just going to enjoy the old stuff that is not as polished or as good as the things that I'm doing now, then I'm kind of like, I would rather be known for the good quality work that I do,
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
And you were invited to be on the show along with Dave. Was that the first time you and Dave had seen each other?
Yep. We hadn't seen each other since 94, 95, whenever we did the last random access. So that was fun. That was an enjoyable time, getting to know him again and talking and emailing him stuff. We emailed and messaged back and forth about Mutandis and all the different stuff.
And Power Comics has been active in a while. What's going on with them?
Well, I think Ben is a little too busy to do it. And when you lose one part of a trio or something like that, it generally kind of fades away. But Evan is, a big time TV producer, and he's got all of these other shows going on. And so I think they just found other avenues that they wanted to explore. And, they still do Power Comic stuff every once in a while, just not on the weekly basis.
Yeah, it's been like about 3 months since they've last done anything.
Well, they're promoting Steve McCardle's graphic novel, all of his collected volumes of stuff from his Red Bullet stuff, and they're they're doing stuff like that. The Lance Stanton, they helped him reprint that, so that was cool.
Yeah, I picked up the Lance Stat, and I'm still waiting for the was it Lethal Protector? Is that the
Is it Lethal Protector?
what is
It
it?
could be. Lance, yeah, the guy that did Lance Stanton is from Bangor, same town as me, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, speaking of Bangor, I understand y'all got to meet Stephen King's wife.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've met them because I grew up with their sons a little
Okay.
bit. We went to the same schools and stuff. We were in the same baseball, fantasy baseball leagues and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
And how do you feel your art has improved, over the years?
well, I think it's improved. um, it's funny because I think even at my old age of 50, I think my art improved drastically last year because like I started to do the Mutandis Regeneratus, which was the kind of an extenuation of the original Mutandis. And I was doing it like every day and like 4 or 5 hours a day drawing. And really, when you're an artist, you have to put in the amount of time into it to really get better. And before, when I was drawing just for myself, I was doing maybe a page a week, a couple pages a week, whatever like that. And just because I'm working at the same time and I have other responsibilities, so I think a lot of people they just don't put in the amount of time that it requires to reach that next level, which I don't know if you ever watched the cartoonist kayfabe. They're always talking Ed Piskor and can't remember the other guy, but they're always talking about reaching the next level, which is really what the Power Comics community artists and creators are. They just haven't reached that next level, and oftentimes I think it's just because there hasn't been enough time put into it.
And do skyscrapers still give you problems?
It's not so much the skyscrapers. It's anything that takes a lot of detail, like large crowds, just anything that has a lot of detail that you have to just be like, I'm going to just sit here and do, this one panel for the next 5 or 6 hours and, do the best I can without, kind of washing right through it, fast, which is what a lot of Power Comics artists would not take the time to do detailed backgrounds or detailed, anything. So you have to put the time into it, and doing skyscrapers is one of those things, or cityscapes is one of those things that's kind of boring to me. I think every artist has things that they don't enjoy doing, so they kind of, go over it a little bit faster than they should.
Kind of like, or dance around it some way.
Yeah, find a way.
Right. Black things out. Like I know a lot of people don't like doing bricks. I personally love doing bricks, which you see a lot of bricks in comics. So
Kind of
that's
goes
cool.
like a Batman and Daredevil. They're always in alleys or something.
Right. Exactly. I mean, if you're going to be in a city, you're going to have bricks. That's the way it is. It's like doing fantasy. You have to do horses, so you have better enjoy doing horses.
Yeah, the horses are going to be one of the hardest things to draw.
They really are. Once you kind of get it, then it's a lot easier. But it's just you have to put that time in, and you have to learn it inside and out in order to do it right. I still have like the hindquarters for me horses are really hard. Not so much the head and the front legs, but the hindquarters are hard.
And so you decided to continue on with Mutandis. You did Regenitus, as they say that?
Regeneratus.
And,
Regeneratus, yep.
Basically, you did kind of a recap of what they've been doing, all these years.
Right.
And you had them saving the World Trade Center at one point.
Yep. I really wanted to put a real world spin on the superheroes. I didn't want it just to be like another alternate reality, like, I didn't want it to be Metropolis or Gotham City or something like that. I wanted it to be grounded in reality, and I also wanted the history. I read a lot of Alan Moore comics, and he is fantastic in creating a history for all of his heroes, whether it's Supreme or Watchmen or whatever. You know that it's a universe that they've lived in, and that history has gone by, time has gone by. And we've had almost 30 years worth of time going by for Mutandis, and I wanted to show it, I wanted to show different significant events that they may have been involved in.
And one of the reasons why I have him on the show is that one of the people you had them fighting against was Lovecraft and his
Mm-hmm.
minions and everything.
Mm-hmm. Deathcraft, yeah.
Deathcraft, is that the name he's given?
Yeah, Deathcraft, which that was like something I came up with. Yeah, that was probably my favorite. That might still be one of my favorite pages that I've done, because I love H.P. Lovecraft and all of the monsters and stuff that he's done.
And so, what influence did he have on you, Lovecraft?
Well, really, almost all of my comics that I do have some sort of mystical or demonic presence in them. There's usually some monsters or something. It's almost never like a super villain and a superheroes. It's always got to have some sort of, I love cultists and stuff like that. So that's basically everything I like. I have one project that I really, really want to do, and I've tried before, but I think I failed, and I'm going to do it at some point, where it's going to be, the main characters are going to be H.P. Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard, and it's going to be like a fictional thing, kind of like a Extraordinary Gentlemen, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, only it's going to be them trying to raise from the dead Edgar Allan Poe.
Nice.
Yeah, like
Cool.
Yeah. 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 I'm just like I need to figure out the legalities of it, I guess, because I guess you can use real people in fictional events if it's not unflattering.
Well,
That's what
they've
I've
been
read.
dead for some time, and so you wouldn't worry about any.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
obviously
Right. But
about
right. But H.P. Lovecraft stuff is owned by Chaosm. Is that who owns their stuff?
He's in the public domain.
Yeah,
All of this.
had some rights to something, but they copyrighted their own material, but it's still in the public domain.
I thought Chaosm. Is it Chaosm? They're the ones that make the games and stuff.
Yeah, their games have been copyrighted just because they've done something different to them. Made something different. But the actual works by H.P. Lovecraft are in the public domain.
Right.
There was one person who claimed he owned the copyright to them, and they tried to press him to prove it. He never can. And so the consensus is that his work is in the public domain.
Oh, yeah. But I'd also have Robert E. Howard in it too, and I don't know if his descendants have ever, because I don't know if you guys have read the letters that they interacted with. They
Mark has for sure.
Yeah. There's a set of books. I don't know, it's one or two that have all the letters, but the books are like 50 or $100, something like that. They're expensive, but yeah, because they were at the back of the Conan books from Dark Horse. They would have letters from H.P. Lovecraft to Robert E. Howard and back and forth, and it just seemed like a very contrasting personalities and in the way they wrote and in the characters they created, and even themselves. Robert E. Howard was a big boxer type physical guy, and did I say Robert E. Howard? Yeah, and HP was not.
Have you read The Challenge from Beyond? which was a round robin story that is several writers. One writer wrote it, then gave it to another one. They continued on writing it. And Robert E. Howard and Lovecraft contributed to there. And
Oh, did they?
Parts of it. And
No, I haven't read that.
reading their version, because like Lovecraft had the hero feigning, and
Mhm.
then Robert E. Howard got him. He was like swashbuckling and fighting.
Right. Yeah. No, I'd like to read that. Sounds cool.
Yeah, you can find it online, or I can I find the link for you if you want me to.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's a cool story.
Yeah. So I love both of them, and I love how their universes kind of commingle and coexist at the same time, even though they're not the same universes. It's great.
Yeah, they kind of did wink and nod to each other in their stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
the Hyborian age, and they both did Hyboria stuff, which is cool.
And so I understand that you were hoping to print future issues of Mutandis, but basically there was kind of like a difference in it's views of you and and Dave on how to do things.
Yeah, it was really my fault. I wanted to, when Mutandis came to light again, and people were wanting more of it. I knew that I didn't want to continue it and just keep doing it. I wanted to just end it. And I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, so my natural, progression was everyone's gonna die. But I wanted some people to live. And anyway, these were really Dave's characters more than mine, and so he didn't really agree with what I was doing or how I was doing with it. I mean, he gave me his blessing, but I think the whole time he was thinking it's not really Mutandis. It's my version of Mutandis, which I'm cool with. I'm cool with that. I just wanted to end the story, which I still may.
So everybody dies at the end, just gave away the ending.
Well, not quite. I mean, a lot of people die, obviously. So,
did Dave have any things he insisted being there in there? You have to do this at least, or he just say I don't care.
No. He said, do whatever you wanted to do. I invited him to write I kind of actually pushed him to write the second part of Mutandis Regeneratus, and but it was like I was plotting it and he was scripting it, but he added a few things that I didn't really agree with. So we just had kind of a creative disagreement, and I mean we're still good, and I would still love for him to write other Mutandis stuff, because it is something I wouldn't mind coming back to every few years or whatever. So we did we did the Mutandis Regeneratus, and then he did write the second part, which I published in my little comic where I continued random access.
You had mentioned at one point toying with the idea of maybe doing a mirror universe,
Mm-hmm.
the being the characters that Dave intended.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I kind of have in the works a way of splitting the universes off. So that's cool. I mean, it's at the same time, splitting them off, but at the same time being canon, I guess.
Having your cake and eat it too, I guess.
Right.
And you did bring back random access, didn't you?
Yep. On my Patreon, I give a comic book to all my patrons every month, and I did that by doing random access. I was up into issue 12 or 13, I think, but it might be going into a different direction. Hopefully, it's going into a different direction. So I'll have to think about what I'm going to do for my patrons.
Okay, and for those who want to see it, how they access it?
Alex Turbin at patreon.com.
Okay. And
Or it's also, I also have a website which I sell all my comics at alexanderturbin.com.
and is there also like a RPG web game you're doing?
Um, kind of. I mean, it was going to be a comic strip. Is that what you're talking about? The comic strip I was going to do?
I'm just going by what I saw traces on your Facebook page and trying to.
Yeah, yeah. I've been toying with a comic strip, which I still would really like to do because I did a comic strip, a daily comic strip, for like 2 months, I think it was, of the people of Andor, and I really enjoyed that, but it was just too much work. Doing a daily comic strip is crazy amount of work, just because it's so every single day you got to come up with something, and but I'd still like to do that. But I also like enjoy role playing games and stuff like that. So I came up with the idea of doing a comic strip where I would have um, one big panel, which would show the event of the RPG, and then you would have three different choices. And you would come back the next day, and upon your different choices, you would see the outcome of your choice. So you would choose. It's basically like a choose your own adventure, right? Only I wanted to add a little bit of, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Steve Jackson sorcery choose your own adventure books. Um, Basically they're the same thing, only you use dice, and there's a spell book that comes with it, and you can do different things. So yeah, basically I wanted it to be a choose your own adventure with as much interactivity with the readers as I could get, which I'm
Interesting.
still hoping to do that. Yeah.
Well, you've been quite busy art-wise. I saw that Wolverine sculpture that you've been working on.
Yeah, I worked on that for like a couple of years ago. I think I started it, and I just haven't finished it. Sculpting for me is just like painting, is something that I'll get into for like really get into it for, weeks on end, and then I'll be like, no, I have to get back to my comic books.
And
So
is this
that's
the
where,
Wolverine image from the Hulk comic?
yeah, yep. I had, because I have his bust all done, and then I have a separate arm piece, and I got some wooden pieces that I'm going to make his claws out of, and some spray paint, and I'm going to paint the Hulk on it. So eventually it'll happen when I get back into sculpting.
So, are there any other projects you're working on?
Um, well, yeah, I'll show you some things. Um, I don't know. So this isn't video though, is it?
Well,
This
actually,
is,
post the live feed, so the people will be able to see that. For those
yeah. Well, I don't know how family friendly you want this to be. I did a short story for a anthology called Tales from the Toilet, and that have you heard of Tales from the Toilet?
no, I
I
haven't heard
have
that
not.
one.
And that's mine was, I can't remember what the theme was. No, it was a Valentine's Day, and so I had H.P. Lovecraft, and this is something that I wanted to do, and I still would like to do, but in the way that it's very delicate subject matter. So I kind of wussed out on it a little bit and changed the idea, because I was going to make it Lovecraft's cat, which I don't know if you guys know what Lovecraft's cat
Cat.
is. Yeah, so it would be a racist racism commentary on racism, and how he was racist, and something like that, in a tasteful, thoughtful way. So in the story, I in the story I have him berating his housekeeper, um, because she's African American, and so she hates it. And so the way that the cat is in it is he's just in the background, um, kind of like just a story vehicle, I guess. But then she does like some magic on HP. some voodoo. And so like a creature comes out and kind of gets him, which I was going to originally have him having sex with the cat. But the editor and I both thought that would be disparaging towards the cat, and he would be a metaphor or whatever for a black person. So that was, it's very, I wanted to do the right thing, but also it's a topic I wanted to explore as HP's racism.
Okay, so I take it Tales from the Toilet don't necessarily have to have anything about a toilet. That was just like,
Yeah, it's just like crude humor, so lots of busty women and feces, fart jokes, stuff like that. But they're a great bunch of guys. But I could show you this one thing. I'm going to reprint Mutandis #1 because a lot of people can't get it because it's so hard to find, and
very expensive. You do find it.
Yeah. I mean, I have like 3 copies, and I'm selling them for like $50 or $25 each, just because that's the only copies I have, left. So and here's some of my random access. This one here, hopefully, is going to be a reboot of Random Access #1. And hopefully I'm going to be able to distribute that through Diamond. Hopefully, I don't know, we'll see. But I'm doing that with a guy. Have you ever heard of Blood Desert?
I can't say I have.
You never heard of Adam Yater? He does this clone guy, and they're pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Blood Desert.
Yeah, Blood Desert Comics. So we're trying to do that. And here's the reprint of Mutandis #3 that I did, and I got Tony Lorenz to do the back cover for me, which he did the
artist.
Yep, he's an artist, and he did what's his name? He's pretty much the #1 power comic artist.
I'm drawing a blank what he's known for.
John Tar,
yes. How can I forget that?
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'm working on a lot of different things, trying to get my art out there, and yeah, I'm going to get back to Mutandis, doing more Mutandis at some point.
An eye out for Mutandis. It's like
yeah.
And
like I said, I want to do that H.P. Lovecraft, Robert E. Howard thing at some point.
Yeah,
I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah. It's just trying to develop the storyline and get my art where I want it, really, for something like that.
Well, we wholeheartedly can encourage you, to work on that.
Yeah.
Great.
I guess one final question. So what did the attention of the Power Comics Book Club do for you? Was it a boom?
Well, one of the biggest things was I sold a bunch of comics. I had a bunch of Mutandis 1, 2, 3s. Not 3. I only had one of those, but the random accesses. And so I threw those up on a website and sold a bunch of them, which enabled me to work on the next project, which was the Mutandis Regeneratus, and also being on Instagram. They have a big Instagram following. So as soon as I joined Instagram, which I had never been on Instagram until last year, I was always on Twitter, and Twitter is not good for comic book artists. But Instagram is great. I've met so many great people and have so many great followers on Instagram, and it's really fantastic.
So is it a better circumstance for you as opposed like when you're doing Mutandis the first time, trying to get everything published and stuff like that? Is it much better now for you?
Oh, 100%. Somebody asked me, one of my patrons asked me, how was it to be a comic book artist back then? And they were like, it must have been so great, all of the creative people out there doing their stuff. But I was like, it really, compared to nowadays, it really was not that great, because you would, hide away in your house for, months on end doing your comic, and then you might go to a convention and meet some people and stuff like that. So until then, you wouldn't get really any real feedback or attention to your work. Whereas nowadays, you take a picture of it and put it on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and automatically people are like, oh, this is great, or this is, that great, but you can work on that, or, it's great now. You can get instant recognition for something good you've done, or, just feedback in general is always fantastic.
Are you currently going to be at any upcoming conventions in the area there, or?
No, I'm not really much of a convention person. It's at some point, if the random access does come out, it is distributed the way I want it to, then I'll pretty much have to maybe go to some Boston conventions or something. But I'm kind of really on the shy side, so I go to a convention, I'm like, freeze up.
That's understandable.
Yeah. I mean, you go there, and especially, I love cosplay people, but they just, I don't know how to I don't know how to react to people that are in costume, and it just kind of weirds me out, and just the whole scene just kind of I'm just kind of shy about it, I guess.
Gotcha.
Well, you should come to David's comic show in October. We'll just plug that while we're
Yeah,
here.
that's true.
Yes.
Related, man.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't pay you anything to come, so it's all
that wasn't an offer for tickets and
the
a hotel.
tickets are free, so you can come.
No, I mean, I love conventions, but it's just like I said, that's another thing with being a comic book artist of unless you're sending your stuff to Marvel and DC and you automatically get recognized, then you have to, unless that happens, then you have to promote yourself, and you have to be good at promoting yourself. And so many artists are just not. Me especially, I'm horrible at promoting my art and my vision and writing and stuff like that. So, that's why it's so great now with the Instagram and the Facebook and stuff like that. So you don't, you can talk to somebody online and not have that, stigma of being shy or being concerned about your work and stuff.
There's so many different companies out there. Have you thought about approaching like Image or?
Yeah. I've sent stuff out before, and you get so many rejection letters, and you're like, this sucks. So then you have to think of either keep sending them out to everyone, which is certainly a lot of people do, or you publish yourself, which I'm totally okay with publishing my own stuff.
As long as you're happy, it's all that matters.
Yeah. At this point in life, I'm doing this for myself, and if I get fans, that's fantastic. But if I don't end up famous or whatever, that's fine too.
Okay.
I'm just doing the art that I'll enjoy.
Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I think I covered it all. I kind of rambled a little bit.
Oh no, it's been good.
Yeah.
We love rambling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I came into this like, I just enjoy talking about comic books, and if it's my comics, that's even better.
All right. David and Richard and Alex, I see the stars are no longer right. We must cease all discussions until they align again next month. 30 Plus Minutes is sponsored by the Robert E. Howard Meets Lovecraft special, which will be coming to a comic shop soon. Fingers crossed. See our poorly drawn action. Not your poorly drawn action, someone else's poorly drawn. Special shout out to Strange Shadows, the best podcast to learn about Clark Ashton Smith. We're working on getting on that show someday. This podcast is created in association with lovecraftpod.com. and the Logan Speculative Fiction Group with the help of the Logan County Public Library and the Great Old Ones. Special thanks to Katie Tyson for the soundification and Joshua Dukes for the spider legs. Until we meet again, may you avoid Princess Cthulhu and whatever else she's up to.